So Terry O'Reilly's been talking about swim, drink, fish as more than a slogan. It's a way of life. And I'm pretty sure that that would resonate with you. What do you think?
Well, it does, yeah, and it did always. It's so simple, easy to remember, and those three words are sort of now starting to permeate sort of our vernacular. We're just, people are starting to realize that if you can't do those three things, then you're not, in full possession of all your rights. It's basic, it's obvious to children. RBC is using it. I've seen through the playoffs when I've occasion to watch a little hockey. They're using it. And their kids asking quite, plainly to the camera, will my kids' kids be able to swim, drink, pull a fish that I can eat from this water? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I heard Bobby say the first time I saw him, Mr. Kennedy, and it just resonated with me. Anyway, I had lost contact with the lake and with the water and just assumed it belonged to someone else, but in fact it doesn't. It belongs to us. It's in the commons, all this stuff, public trust. And that was reassuring to me. And it was just a gentle reminder. Mm. The water is a definite influence in my life. It's definitely the Lake Ontario of my mind, and Lake Ontario Riley. That's one I was throwing. Anyway, Lake Ontario of my mind, and it's always been there in sort of everything I think about and everything I do, and certainly when I go to express myself, that's sort of where I go. And
Why do you think artists are often the first responders to trouble, to environmental issues, to societal issues? What is it about being an artist that makes you able to be a first responder?
I don't know if I'm a first responder or not. I mean, you've seen the rollbacks and you've seen the omnibus bills and the sort of ramming through in the dead of night, major environmental rollbacks to the laws that have existed for 100 years and been perfectly fine. And, so I think everyone has to sort of have trouble with that. And those that would call an artist a first responder, there's as many people would call that person an elite or an attention getter. And those are people that would and the thing that confounds me about that, or the thing that troubles me the most, is how readily someone would throw over their own due process for partisanship. It's like, okay, well, you gave that up without a fight, in the name of being right. So I just respond the way I respond. I mean, again, because the lake is us. It's all of us. It belongs to all of us, and so you just respond like anyone would. Waterside, I guess.
You've been working with waterkeepers now for almost a decade, I think. What is it about this organization that speaks to you?
Just that, they're not asking people to use different light bulbs or drive different cars. They're just trying to remind people there are laws in the books that are perfectly good. And that say if you pollute, then you have to clean it up. It's basic stuff. And Bobby started Waterkeepers, basically, finding a loophole that would allow them to collect a bounty for finding polluters, and turning them in. So going down a river and just looking for weird pipes spewing weird stuff. So to me, it's very basic, and they're just good people trying to help communities, get to that table where there's sort of their pollution future is being decided. And you need lawyers for that. You need experts. You need water specialists. You need lawyers with a conscience who can do more than a priest. According to Peter Garrett, your buddy. They can do more than a priest, Scott. Was that an Australian accent?
Pretty close.
And then, 4 experts, a whole community, and it costs about $250K to get into that golf tournament, where they're discussing justice issues around your community's health. And a question that any community has is simple, again, a waterkeeper sort of maxim. Can we see the science? Don't you want to see the science? And it turns out they don't necessarily sometimes. So anyway, roundabout. I mean, they're just straight shooters, you know.
Do you swim with your kids in Lake Ontario?
I do.
Do you
Every
check?
day.
Every day?
Pretty much, yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Do you check the swim guide first?
I didn't have an iPhone for a long time. It was, you know, and I still don't. So no. I don't really check it. Our area's been pretty clean. Where we like to swim in sandbanks, and it's pretty much a perfect record. I do check, you know, and they have great record of caring for such things. And the swim guide is great for communities where they don't seem to care whether you can go down and swim there. And some care so little they put chain link across it and make no access to it, which is, you know, criminal, really. Yeah, we go every day. We, you know, fish, we swim, you know, and we're looking at pretty dramatic Lake Ontario. Like next stop, Oswego. And see the nuclear reactor plume like 50K away, but no land otherwise. And yeah, I mean, algae blooms might be the thing you'd worry about with a dog and stuff. That can happen.
And what about when you were a kid? Did you swim a lot?
Yeah, every day. Yeah, jumping off cliffs and swimming and fishing and, yeah, flat rocks and nice.
How'd you learn to swim?
I was thrown from a dock in Bath, Ontario by an only slightly older instructor. Jesus.
And?
Yeah. Can I have a moment? And yeah, well, I learned to swim, you know. And I learned about revenge. I'll kill you. As soon as I learn how to swim, I'm gonna. Yeah.
When you think about the amount of water that we have as Canadians, as in the sense we should be stewards of the amount of water that we have, what would you give us in terms of our record as a mark?
Canada and the world?
Canada and how we steward our water.
Well, I mean, given how much of it we have and how much toiletizing is going on, that's a word I patented. Check with Conrad to see if it's actually a word, but then it's abysmal. I don't know the stats, but I you know, you can read about a community that has no water trying to figure out what to do and keep their water clean. And the fact that we are so cavalier about it, which is at best, and maybe criminal at worst, you know, just at how we take it for granted. And yeah, so I guess the rating would be piss poor. Is there? I don't know the scale. On a rating of piss poor to
Bloody awful.
Yeah.
I'd go piss poor. What did you think about when you heard about Montreal?
the boil water. Sorry, I thought you liked the student protest last year. I was racking my brain.
Sorry.
We were one day away from. I was astounded. Like, I don't know much more. It's like 1.3 million people are boiling water in Montreal because their drinking water supply is contaminated with E. coli.
Fecal matter.
Not bad for a guy who doesn't know the story. No, I tell me more. What happens now?
Well, that's what we want.
Oh, I'm asking you. Yeah, I've never seen it on that scale before.
So one last thing. When you engage the way you do with issues that are important to you, how do you keep engaging? What do you take as a measure of this works and I need to do more, or this didn't work or I need to do more? How do you keep yourself motivated when sometimes you feel like that the challenge you're up against maybe feel insurmountable?
Well, I feel like I don't do hardly anything, to be honest, and feel a little sheepish about that most of the time. I know music brings people together. I know that, a ship like this, it's a lot of different, everyone brings different things. And I know music brings people together, so I love to take part that way. And I did that with, Mark Mattson at Waterkeepers. We did these we'd go through towns and do almost these little reviews, right, with our friend Andrea Nan dancing and Tanis Rido delivering poetry and me playing music and all and now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear Mark Mattson talk about water issues for 7.5 minutes, promise. Anyway, and he's a great orator, and he would tell people, in an old-fashioned way. And towns like Port Hope didn't like it, I thought they didn't like it at all. And other towns were cool with it. But that was just one example of things you can do to get creative around these issues. And beyond that, I have my kids, and it just becomes a natural question that you ask yourself a lot. What kind of world are we leaving? What can we do? So,
So you do what you can.
Yeah. I'm pretty preoccupied with leaving. It's sort of part of the job description. So I guess it comes naturally, to want to leave it better than I found it, somehow. But,
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was good.
The swimming lessons, that was it was like this pier. It was like a good 10-foot drop to the darkest, coldest water, 8 in the morning, Lake Ontario. And you're looking up the piers and anyway.
And he just left you, threw you in.
Yeah, everyone got thrown in.
How old were you?
I want to say 8. On a school bus. And
Swim, you bastard.
yeah, it was almost like Pinocchio, right? When they get and the guys reveal, no, this isn't a magic island. Parents aren't here now.
That's right.
I think he had a hold of my arm and my leg. Did one of those.
God. And see, somehow you found your way to come around to the water.
Working my way back to him.
You didn't, yeah. Well, at least you didn't hold the water accountable.
Yeah, yeah. Because that happens.
It could happen.
That does happen.